Okay, so first we're going to start and make sure that our nails are all even and nice. This is after I've prepped them, clipped her cuticles and everything after she washes her hands. There's sometimes this little, like, fuzzy raggedness on the edge that you don't see until after they wash. So I'm just taking my file and cleaning that up because your gel polish will definitely stick to that and it'll make it look messy. Then I'm going to go ahead and take some acetone and I'm going to dehydrate her nails just because you want to dry them out. It's the same thing as if you're going to put on acrylic or anything, although I am just going to polish her hands just because the whole purpose of this is for me to learn how to do French tips. But we are going to do it with gel, so we can make sure the nail bed is dehydrated and those cuticles are pushed back so our polishing looks nice and round. Then you're going to go ahead and grab your base coat. And we're going to start with our first layer. I don't have any color support on her nails for her French tip, but I feel like her natural no bit is fine. So we're just going to do this base of clear coat before we do our French. Now, the best thing about gel is you can always put it back. As you can see, I have way too much on my brush at first, and you can scoop that stuff right back up. It sticks right to the brush and put it back. So if when you go in to start with putting your brush in the middle, and start spreading your polish, if you feel like it's immediately going to flip the cuticles, just take it off because you don't want gel carrying on the skin. Okay, I've seen some crazy looking ass fingers, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, so when I go back in, and as you see, I'll start from the middle and I go to the edge. As a beginner, this is just something that I've noticed helps me control it a lot more. Having my fingers balanced like small little nuances. It must miss I'm sitting right there. Um, because anything that's sitting, any dry skin, anything that's sitting on the edges of their fingers, all that stuff your gel polish is going to stick to. You're going to try and clean up, especially once you put color on there and stuff like that. It's going to be in there. Once it goes into the lamp, the polish tends to spread down some. So even though you didn't paint it on that little speck of dry skin right there, it got on that on the lamp, and now the only if you get off is to drill it off afterwards. And you got to hope you don't drill your work. So clean prep is essential. Like how neat her fingernails look is essential. Even then, still, like I said, I'm a beginner, so I didn't get everything. And my, what do you call somebody who you're apprenticing under? Mentor, boss, ladies on my paychecks. When I show, when I showed her, she was like, "Yeah, you missed it here, here, here." And after us just looking at it, just in here, we're like, "Oh my God, this is so good. This is so good." And then she was able to still show like small parts where the prep could still use a bit of improvement. So I'm telling you, prep is everything though. But because my prep looked so good, I did. She did approve me to take clients. So for select manicures. So I'm excited. But so anyway, yeah, we're gonna go ahead do the base coat. Um, do. Also, her nail beds are a lot better than what I expected. I thought her hands were gonna be so small because she's so small. If you do get gel on the side while you are polishing, just take your a cleanup brush, a French brush, dip it in some acetone, and swipe it along the edges. You know, after you paint all of her nails, sit there, take your hand. If you really are scared about curing the gel in her skin, and just take your brush and rub it across the edges of the fingers, between the cuticle areas and the sides of the fingers, just to make sure there's no gel in there and there's no overflow that you didn't see in the midst of polishing. She's going to take her hand out, and we're going to go ahead and start the French tips. I put a little bit of gel on my nail art plate. The key to this is your liner brush. You're going to see 1,000 mapping videos, 1,000. This is how I do. People using the stickers. And hey, worse and worse of them. I want you to know I went through every one of them goddamn options, and it wasn't until I saw the girls at the salon really just freehanding this. Like, nope, it didn't matter how long they'd been there. It didn't matter if they was apprentice or licensed. They all were freehanding their fridges. So I really invested in some smaller and nice liner brush, something that it essentially feels like when you go to put it on a nail, it should feel like you draw on a piece of paper, like you holding a pencil. Like you just need to feel like you have control. So that whole balancing your fingers, exactly how I'm positioning the brush, that does so much from your control. And like I said, just having this small, tiny, fine brush that just makes me feel like I'm directly on the finger. It's hard to mess it up because I'm directly making it. First, it's trying to map and do all it is, and this lot from here, it was too much. But for basic beginner Frenchies, this is perfect. I go ahead and I just start from the edge of the nail. I thought I was going to start sooner than that. Girl, catch up. Okay, so I just go ahead and I start from the edge of the nail, drag my brush across, create a little curve. We're doing natural nails. There's no extensions on her hand. So even if there was an extension, she still would have them this short. I'm just following where I see her fingernails bit, sort of like begin to separate from the skin from, how you see that color difference. As the base of how thick to do her Frenchies, and I feel like it's making a perfect match for her hand size. And then when you go to use your cleanup brush just to clean it up on the inside, matter of fact, let me swish that. Okay, and see right here. And this is exactly what I'm talking about with cleaning up your edges, making sure that all that overflow is gone. And then you take this French brush and you just straighten out your curve. That sounds so crazy, not straighten up, but you know how I just look, you clean up that mind. Okay, so I'm sitting here drawing, and just like when you're sketching, it's a bit rough, right? So this is like my eraser, essentially, and you take it and you just make it look like, a perfect little curve or round, and the roundness of the French brush does it for you. So it's really, it looks harder than what it really essentially is. And then you want to make sure that there's no transparency. And the best thing about doing this with gel, maybe I'll do a different video where we use regular polish, is that, it's moving and it's not dry until you dry it, right? So we can go back in as many times as we want and just keep redoing it without having to redo our base or start all over. And then after that, it's just me doing a process over and over again, taking my liner brush, uh starting with my lines, and then taking my cleanup brush and fixing it up. And it don't be worried. This was my first time like sitting here and doing this process like this, right? And I had also did her feet first, so I had got to practice on 10 extremities. How I'm holding my brush at how I'm doing this before I really got it to feel like a flow. And even then, if you notice in like the final pictures, one hand is neater than the others. The same way with the toes. It's almost like muscle memory you got to develop. So like, don't be upset if it doesn't like look good at first and getting or anything like that. Like we're beginners. It's a process. We're learning, you know. So like, of course it may be a little raggedy at first. You just did it by me. You did it. Well, they say if it takes 10,000 hours to be good at something, at some point you just got to start it. At some point you got to start putting in the hours. So who cares if it look messy? That's what cleaner brushes are for. But anyway, okay, here's me doing them. And also, when it comes to this part, I kind of go slow on purpose, especially whenever it comes to me learning something new. One of the seasoned nail techs at the salon told me you gotta go slow at first. And if they want you to be fast, because that's the only way you're gonna find out like what you're doing and really get the hang of it. If you're always rushing and rushing and rushing, you're never really taking the time to perfect your craft. So you'll see I'm going really slow with this at first, but that's because before I'm actually doing it on my real paying clients, I want to have a good handle of it. I want to feel like what it is that I'm doing. So I'm really taking my time to do it just to see what works for me, what angle of holding my brush works best for me, which swipes work best for me. There's some people who will take the bottle the color and use the regular brush and just do like a straight line across it, then take their liner brush and light it up. There's so many different ways to be a nail tech as long as you clean and you ain't giving nobody contact dermatitis. The way that your art shows up is going to be dependently on you, your technique for how you do your art and how you draw your artistry and all that stuff. That's on you, boo boo. But this one right here was so nice and so clean. Probably one of my favorite ones to show because it also went fairly fast. And like I said, the more you do it, the better it is. I can't tell you how many months it took before I finally started to really hold my hands like this. This is one of the first things my mentor was telling me, and it's just like it didn't click until I was repeatedly doing it. Now, for right here, we have to switch it up because I can't say I'm doing just one plain full set. Something has to be different on a nail. And I tried to do her 3D flowers, which I have pulled off before, but I don't know. I guess maybe it just, couldn't learn too many things at one time or something. But so instead of doing the 3D flower that she made me drill off, well, we are just going to do a nice little glitter nail. So I'm putting a base coat on her. I'm not curing it yet, just so that it has its tackiness and it sticks in there. I'm just going to scoop up some of this glitter and drop her on her nail. It was the only thing bright and yellow that I saw in my, I don't know, inventory for like nail designs and stuff like that. But it did turn out really cute. Yeah, I just made it all nice flat either so that her nail wouldn't be bumpy. Once I had a good portion of the glitter poured on her, and then I just pressed it flat and even, and we had as a glitter nail. Now, it is a lot of glitter, bro. I will tell you this. This shit is messy. It's so messy. Even with my cleanup brush, like, it was so glitter everywhere. And once again, that's something my mentor clocked me for because she's like, yeah, doing it on a client is all nice and fine, but, you know, customers aren't going to want to work out with that. So, take your, I was about to say your motherfucker. Take your cleaner brush. I'm using a size 14 one. I just use whichever one is shaped the best and most real rounded out of the pack. But, and you're not cleaning the edges, and you can use this cleanup brush for anything. But it's cleaning your nail pretty. Dip that motherfucker in some acetone and swipe it around them corners and make sure your client has a clean final look. Then you go ahead, you grab that top coat, and you are done. I'm going to just speed past this and get to the final result.